Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, most often the most lamest day of trading, almost pointless, really. But looking at it reflected on Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin, not so much altcoins, but we'll have a look at those in a bit. It doesn't look too bad at all. So we're pushing up against that major resistance, the horizontal, the diagonal descending trend line, basically from last March. And as far as the signals are concerned, we've still got the itchy cloud trend signal, which is still in play. We've not had this cheeky span close inside the price action. In fact, if it had to close inside the price action now and take a dump, it can sustain another 6% down, all the way down to 63,400. Tomorrow, even lower than that, can go all the way down to 60,100 and still be in play. And not cancel out. So there's plenty of space for this to come down and still be intact with a significant uptrend trend signal, which is, like I say, in play on the daily and on the weekly. On top of that, though, we don't have it confirmed yet, but it's unavoidable because these indicators are so lagging that even if we were to dump, you would get this. This is your simple moving average golden cross, which is about to form at the support of 63,300, basically. The last time we got one of these golden crosses was down here, confirming at the price of roughly around 34,000. So since then, doubling in price. So that's the last time we had one of these simple moving average golden crosses on a daily gave us a 100% pump. So I'm not going to say this is going to give us a 100% pump, but it is an indication of trend strengthening. That's all the golden cross is. It's an indication of strength trending up, trend strengthening. Still early, guys, still early. But yeah, that's the deal. So that's going to confirm tonight, basically. So first thing Monday morning, we'll see that. And then the only other thing at that point will be to suggest, are we going to come down to retest it? Because that does happen regularly. It's very common to have a golden cross retest, and if that is the case, 63,400. Like I said, the itchy cloud can come down to those levels. The Chiku span can come down to exactly those levels today, and lower than that over the next couple of days, and still be intact for a continuation up. And we often do see V-shaped recoveries from golden crosses, and more than that, a golden cross, V-shaped recovery, and then some, which could lead to the breakout with these targets of the mid to upper $70,000 zone. So I know there's a lot of FUD out there, Tether, and stuff going on in other countries and stuff. I get that. The FUD is real. FUD causes selling. But if you reflect on Bitcoin, you're just looking at it now. If you were to just stare at this chart, you wouldn't have thought that any FUD has taken place at all. You would look at this as a pretty well-constructed consolidation, neat and tidy, getting ready to break out, in all fairness. And I still stand by that, regardless of the FUD. So it's one of those things, isn't it, really? Nothing has changed, for Bitcoin at least, anyway, for Bitcoin. Reflecting on the total too, though, so this is just all cryptos excluding Bitcoin. It's still consolidating dramatically with its descending trend line. It's a descending triangle. And then a retest of the simple moving average death cross retest, which is the opposite of what Bitcoin's looking to perhaps fulfill at that 63,600. So we got the golden cross on the Bitcoin, but we've also got the death cross on the total too. And as you would expect, a rejection took place, but still a higher low has formed on this. So we got a low, we got low, we got low, we got low. This is okay, and technically it's a higher high as well. So I am looking for this also to get picked up from this level and make another attempt to break out. And then once a breakout has taken place on the total too, that would be significant for all the altcoins. And the beauty of that would be that if you believe in what I think is taking place here, then any low forming on altcoins, decent altcoins, not any old pile of shiznizzle, but decent altcoins, any low that's given to us throughout this period is a blessing in disguise. To be picked up and hodled really for the next 12 months. Well, it's less than that really, but roughly the next 12 months really, where I believe that the high will be in. So we're about to go into what I think is a significant uptrend for Bitcoin and crypto. That doesn't mean that we can't pull back by another 6% on Bitcoin, which could be another 10 to 12% on altcoins, or even more for some of those altcoins. That doesn't mean that we can't see that first before we go up, but it does look like it's going to break out for Bitcoin and then carry altcoins with it, as it should do over the next 12 months. So I have to keep reiterating the 12-month period side of things, because things never look good before the breakouts, right? They just never look good. In fact, let's have a look at this. I'm just gonna back test what it looked like in 2020. Chainlink might not be a great example of that, to be honest with you. 2020, all right, yeah, it's just, yeah, I suppose it's a reasonable example. So remember 2020, right? You remember it. I remember it well. So there's your COVID crash. There's your significant uptrend. And then we had a period where everything kind of sort of just went down, and Bitcoin was rallying 300% from, well, about September to October. Let's have a look at what Chainlink did. So we're going to measure it from, well, just measure it from its low to, well, the breakout in 2021 when the alt season took place. So alt season took place more or less the 1st of January, we'll call it. So Chainlink actually moved up over the 3-month period of 36% from that low to its low before the alt season. And Bitcoin did 10 times that amount. Bitcoin did a 300% rally throughout that period. And then after that, it rallied up high. I tell you, one of the ones that we were focused on at the time was Harmony One. You don't really hear much about this anymore. But I remember looking at this because, you know, when you do the Patreon streams, we look at things all the time. Twice a week, we're always looking at the coins. So we had, I remember seeing this going, wow, this one really did not have a nice time while Bitcoin was rallying during that period. This one actually more or less went down in that period. Now we're going to measure it from the lows. So where were we? So September we'll measure it from, just like we did before. This one actually went down 15%, while Bitcoin rallied up 300%. So if we're looking for something similar to that, where Bitcoin breaks out, maybe does a 100% move, I'm not going to say that's what it's going to do, but like it breaks out and outperforms until we get a significant rejection on the dominance chart. This is the sort of thing that we should maybe prepare ourselves for altcoins, really. You might get rallies up, you might move down, you might go up, you might go down, or you might go up and down. But it's not ready while Bitcoin's outperforming. And it's only when it's finished do you see sort of a nice big move. So that, you know, December 2020, January, bang. So that's the sort of expectation I have. Again, this is enormous, so don't expect... He said it's going to your altcoin will go from 0.5 cent to 36 cents. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that that has been the previous behaviour of altcoins, while this sort of price action is taking place. We can't deny that Bitcoin has all the bullish signals and altcoins have none of the bullish signals. In fact, they got the opposite of that. They got bearish setups. So don't be surprised to see that sort of thing happen again, because that is what happened before, and it could quite easily happen again with this kind of setup that we have across the board for altcoins. But that doesn't mean that you should be buying into Bitcoin because it's rallying. Technically, that would be FOMO, right? So if you were to, again, just go back to this period in the market, if you, and I'm not saying that this is the thing to hold on to. I'm not suggesting this is what you should do, but if you were to buy into Harmony One, sorry, what am I doing? Harmony One. It's still early, guys. Still early for me. We'll go swimming with the kids in a minute. So if you were to buy into, let's just say this was happening, Bitcoin's rallying while Harmony One's going down. Oh my God, I can't cope with this. I'm going to buy Bitcoin. It's 40,000 now. I heard it's going to go to 100,000. I'm going to buy. No, because trading is counterintuitive, right? So you kind of want to buy things that are going down if you believe they're going to be going up later. You want to buy low to sell high. I know I'm saying the most obvious stuff, but right now, Bitcoin is probably going to break out and reach maybe even new all-time highs sooner rather than later, and altcoins will not. So in the very short term, Bitcoin is probably the more attractive, but once it starts breaking out and you start to see those sort of green God candles, as you call them, for Bitcoin, and you're not seeing them from altcoins, if you think, like I do, that you will see a rotation event towards the end of that rally for Bitcoin into altcoins, then you're better off buying altcoins. Because in the case of Harmony One, even if you were to have bought it down here and held, you bought at 0.5 cent and you went up 36 cents, you're dealing with thousands of percent at that point. Whereas Bitcoin, you're only really dealing with hundreds. if that, this time round. So I'm just going to put it to you that it is and looks and feels very much the same as it did. These, even just looking at how many won again, I'm not highlighting this as anything that's worth buying, but I'm just saying that even just looking at this, most altcoins look like this. Higher highs, higher lows into death cross could quite easily be viewed as an accumulation phase for that coin. And again, this coin is no different to all the others. They are sideways AF, across the board, sideways AF. Chainlink's a good example, surfing the top of the accumulation zone that it was in for all this period, moving into a death cross with higher highs and higher lows. Accumulation, really. That's what it looks like. We've got the RSI increasing in strength. Same thing with the money flow index. It's most likely going to break at some point down the line. And once this breaks, especially if it gets some rotation volume, it'll break significantly. And you'll see those big gold candles, but for altcoins. So really, it is about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to outperform altcoins in the short term. But if this period in the market reminds me of anything, it reminds me of 2020, which is the last stage really to load up before the big pop. The only problem you're going to have is patience and trust in your own conviction of the setup. I have conviction. It's not because I'm particularly biased in one way or another. It's just that everything looks like it should do. This is kind of exactly what I expected. Even as long as a year ago, kind of predicted the majority of all this price action that's taken place this year. I predicted that more or less this time last year when we got the initial alt season. We did a few 100%, enjoyed that, expected the consolidation throughout the summer, saw that. We're looking for the accumulation at this point now. It appears to be doing that. And then we were looking for the breakout, which could take place any minute, but most likely a little bit later this year and certainly throughout next year. So this probably is the last chance to pick up altcoins at relative lows. Although they're not you're just because you buy it doesn't mean that you've bought the absolute low. You have to recognize that. I bought the altcoin and it went down a bit. Yeah, from a risk to reward perspective, the rewards outweigh the risks at this level right now. But that does not mean that the moment you press buy, you've hit the absolute low. That's definitely not going to be the case. Same as it would be when you come to sell it, you're certainly not going to be selling the absolute high. So you're snagging the price action. And it looks to me very attractive. Right, if you wanted to be a bit more cautious, you could draw a big white line across the screen. Now, what I mean is if you want to be a little bit more cautious, you would wait for an effective breakout on the total too. That's fine. Wait for a breakout and a retest and up. That would be for those, I suppose, who want to rotate from Bitcoin positions into altcoins. Yeah, because you don't want to... you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot, especially if Bitcoin's looking like the better chart anyway. Enjoying a rotation is the ultimate way to play the game, but it's also for relatively skilled traders that are willing to take that risk. So I'm not saying that's what we want to do right now. We've already said that Bitcoin's probably going to break and outperform the market, so you want to make the most of that, if anything. But yeah, for you're more cautious trade, if you're not looking to buy build a portfolio at altcoins at these low levels, then fine. You wait for the breakout, and then you get hopefully an immediately gratifying trade because you don't have to sustain any sideways or down while you're waiting for the big breakout, which was likely to come. It could come any minute, but based on what we see right now, probably a couple of months maybe before we start to really see that start to rev up. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Hopefully that is useful to you. Hopefully that you've gained some kind of insight. And if you agree or disagree, please let me know in the comments, because it's at this stage in a video apparently that people need to like the video because it shows retention and engagement. So thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.